How's it going, everybody? It's Grant here with another video for you. Two in a row, which is kind of new, but I just felt like being productive. You know, it's a nice sunny day today. Woke up feeling good, feeling clear. No Tinder for a while now. No junk food, just bare essentials. And I think that's how it should be. What I've come to learn from this time away from all these vices is that our bodies and our mind really crave stimulus. And if you're not getting it one way or another, you'll look for certain means to get it, right? There's almost nothing worse than just being bored. And in modern society, we have all these sources of stimulus now. We can really just rev up our system and our engine over and over again. And that baseline is just being spiked up and down. A lot of people these days are living this lifestyle where they inject themselves, so to speak, with these doses of these different stimulants over and over, and are basically riding out the highs, living for those peaks, and then come crashing down, not to baseline, but below baseline, where they feel bad and withdrawn. You see, a lot of people conflate addiction with these tropes of like alcohol or heroin, whatever drug that they've heard of people going to AA for, that sort of thing. But I would argue the modern man is plagued oftentimes by addictions which are fairly new to us, and that would be addiction to food and addiction to sexual content, you know, your OnlyFans, your pornography, things like that. There's other things too, like TV and video games, and even YouTube can be highly addictive, but I believe there's something extra entrancing and powerful about food and porn because they are directly tied into our biology, and we're hardwired to look for these things and be really receptive to them. In the past, we never had this excess that we have now. We used to struggle to obtain food. For example, we'd have to farm and hunt and go through all these different processes, and when the final product arrived, it was a healthy, organic meal for the most part. And we'd have a few meals per day. You'd have your, coffee in the morning and maybe a little bit of tobacco, and for the most part, that was it, and you'd be on your way to work or whatever. It wouldn't be this whole thing that it is now of entertainment from food. Food has now become a source of entertainment. You're entertaining yourself with not only the mouth pleasure you get from eating, but from the physiological response, the chemicals, the dopamine, whatever. And it's everywhere. All these fast food places, all this candy, all this junk food everywhere. So some people, you see, like morbidly large people, they're kind of hooked and they're going deep down this hole of addiction. And it gets downplayed as normal, but it's really not. If 1 in 20 people are on a hard drug, but 10 in 20 people are overweight and overeating, which I think it is 1 in 2 people are obese now, isn't the food issue almost just as severe? Maybe you could even argue that it's worse. We have a really serious issue, and it's downplayed as a funny sort of thing, look at those fatties, right? But it's a real issue, and it's easy to fall into it in this society because it's so abnormally accessible, and it's the same with porn and its different forms. We weren't wired to have nearly this much access to all these sexual videos and images. Just like with food, we were wired to expect scarcity, and when something did come around, it would be, organic, natural. It would probably, hopefully, be fulfilling and worth investing in. Now we have more than we know what to do with, and it's all synthetic. It's all processed. The food, the porn, it's all fake. And what people are doing is injecting, metaphorically, this different stimulants into themselves, and they're riding out the high with little regard for crashing down. Everyone is wondering these days why they feel so off, right? Anxious or depressed or tired or whatever. I think a lot of it has to do with us destroying our baseline. You naturally have this steady flow of energy from waking up to falling asleep, but we engage in all this unnatural binging and these addictions, and it spikes that line up and down. Nature is calibrated, right? It's all about balance. It's there's a nighttime comes around, everything kind of goes to sleep, cools off, relaxes, and the morning comes, and the birds, 5, 6 a.m., they start chirping. You just start to feel the world start to come alive. It's all about balance. It has a certain harmony to it. And we are just completely out of that harmony. When you're just staring into a screen, watching porn for hours, we don't have any clue what the long-term effects of that are. We've had porn for like 2 decades, in a sense, of it being accessible on a device really easily. 2 decades out of thousands and thousands, maybe millions of years of history, and it looks like things are going kind of bad, right? It's funny, right? I don't know. It's interesting. I think we're so arrogant, though, to think that this is normal and fine. It seems like it's actually really, really bad. People are so wrecked these days. Young people who are engaging in this stuff are so wrecked. They're not socializing as much. They're sleeping in all day. They're not healthy. They're giving up trying to learn how to drive. Like, have you noticed that? There's all these young people who are just like giving up driving and being like, I don't drive or whatever. Like, we're devolving in a way. So I think these modern addictions we're dealing with are more serious than we're really giving them credit for. Even browsing on Tinder and Instagram, let's be honest, is like a low-grade version of watching porn. The girls on there are showing pretty much everything they can get away with, and you can get addicted to browsing that the same way as actual porn. So I recommend the quote-unquote dopamine detox from these things, if you will, and really just trying to give them up completely. What you're going to find out is that you have an attachment to this stuff, likely, and that it's very quickly that you'll start to experience intense withdrawals that come in a lot of different forms, usually just direct craving of the stimulus. Especially if you get stressed or something like that, your body is going to be like, hey, like, I'm stressed, where's my de-stressor? And you're going to find out that it can be very difficult to quit. It may take a few tries. The best way to do it is really decide that it's in the past and you're not doing it anymore, and you have to take it seriously. After a few days where things really kind of suck, you'll hopefully wake up one day and feel like, hey, I feel pretty good. Because what you've done is taken those highs and lows and you've evened them out into a steady flow, right? Instead of burning all your dopamine on, and I'm not like trying to get really, really technical with this. I'm not like a doctor or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, instead of just burning up all of your, spiking the line so high on some giant porn binge, your body, can sort of regulate the dopamine and use it the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to slowly give it to you throughout the day, right? Conversations get easier, they get more interesting. All of a sudden, you start problem solving more because honestly, your brain wants that stimulation. It wants something to go to work on. The prospect of going out and socializing and working, starting a project, all that stuff becomes much more tantalizing than if you were just burnt out from a big porn binge food, junk food session. Start to just become a more normal human being again because we've been hijacked, guys. This stuff is not normal. It's not healthy. A lot of people are deep down this hole of addiction and they don't even realize it because it's not something that's normally shown or told to us as an addiction. So I'd like to see us start to realize this and set this stuff aside. And instead of these degenerate vices, let's start to find out that because we've been so overstimulated for so long, we've been missing out on the finer things in life. And let's try to make our way back to just being a person again who's like interested in the world. Once the fog of these addictions leaves, you can kind of realize like, oh yeah, like I didn't feel like this my whole life. I remember being like a kid and things were just fun and interesting and almost like clearer in a way. All these modern conveniences are like a weapon against us, man. So let's get out of the trap and enter into what I would like to call the era of the great untangling, because this world is tangled up, man. If you're anything like me, you probably have a little bit of work to do. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share the video if you did. Enjoy it. And most of all, let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's my favorite part. Would love to hear what you guys think. And thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time. Adios.